Hello. Well, y'all are stuck with me today, so hang on while I try to get everything together here. Uh, come on. There we go. All right. If you want to donate, whoops, donate here. And I want to thank people who will remain temporarily anonymous that gave us a check to keep the blanket fort on. And it was definitely heat today. If you like coffee, King Harves, they are our sole sponsor. And we do appreciate the coffee, and we need it because it is friggin' cold out there. I would also like to thank the anonymous donor for my birthday shirt from, whoops, get over there. The U.S. Naval Research Library at Stennis Space Center. Of course, being an old fart, I remember it from the days when it was NORDA, Naval Oceanographic Research Site, or Development Activity. So anyway, welcome everybody. Ian is a tad under the weather. Matter of fact, he's outright sick, but we'll not go in there. If you would say a prayer for our friend Freeman, he's having some medical issues, and they're trying to sort out what's wrong with him. Also, yeah, Sir Brass, thank you very much. At least the Navy tried there at the end. Not going to say anything about the other three quarters. Let me see, what else was I going to say? Now you guys got me screwed up. I lost my place. Not that I already had a place, but that's beside the point. The Dependent Cat is alive and well at Cedars, at least for right now, or at least was on Sunday when I was over there. Crocheting, oh, lovely. Yeah, Kermit, the old college try was only about the last 8 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, we did lose. That's one of the things I want to talk about. We lost David Drake this past week on the 10th. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people on here have read stories by Drake. Very, very interesting guy. I got to chat with him about 10 minutes at a Liberty Con once. And I think he was basically trying to get away from everybody. And I happened to run across him outside. And we chatted for a few minutes. And I think I kind of surprised him because I told him welcome home. And he looked at me and I said, most of us from Vietnam never got that. And he kind of looked funny and went, yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't realize he was a enlisted interrogator in Vietnam for the Army. And that impacted the rest of his life, basically, what he saw over there. He was also, before he went in the Navy, a historian and college graduate, which is kind of odd because he didn't go in as an officer. He went in and enlisted. Yeah, Sir Brass definitely preferred the Republican Centaur, which I told him when I fanboyed him, which I'll admit I did. And he kind of looked at me and I said, hey, I'm retired Navy. And he chuckled. He said, well, yeah. I said, tanks I don't do, no desire. And he laughed at that one. And I did get a picture taken with him. Oleg took a picture of the two of us. And I just realized when I was looking around last night, I never got a copy of that. So maybe one of these days. But he's gone. And I don't know how to say this, but I think maybe it was for the better because he was having health issues and going downhill. And at least now he's at peace. And hopefully he's in Valhalla enjoying the enjoying the good times and the drinks and the conversations. Yeah, a lot of people have said what David did about Drake helped them through things. David was the first one that ever told me about scrubbing the serial numbers off. Uh, he said being a historian, what he would do is look at things in the past and then carry them forward to his space writing, which I thought was interesting. It's the first time I'd really heard anybody talk about that in real time. Yes, definitely painful to lose him. Ranks of Bronze was another good one. And I made the mistake, I do remember saying that he was a historian, and he corrected me. He said he wasn't a historian per se. He was more of an aquatarian. He wanted the artifacts, the things, the pieces. To him, that tied more realistically to the history because they were physical objects. Yep. With the lightnings, yes. The other thing that he did, which was kind of interesting, was he played a lot of societies against each other. And I think part of that went back to what he saw in Vietnam with communism versus the U.S. and capitalism. Wasn't aware of that, Greg. Good point. Uh, yeah, attaché duty is considerably different than being a interrogator. I'm not sure if he was drafted or not. That's that one I don't know anything about. But talking about the military, apparently there is discussion of a 5.2 pay raise January the 1st for the military. But this does not get the junior enlisteds to a $15 an hour pay scale, even only assuming 40 hours a week, not the 60 to 80 that they actually end up working. Hell, and anybody in the military ends up working. Yeah, to keep up with the 20% inflation. We were discussing this Saturday, and we figure actual inflation is somewhere north of 30%. 30 to 40 when you add in gasoline and food. Yeah. Yeah, Cedar. $22 an hour versus 10. Yeah. Your son's in a better place. Yeah, food's definitely 30%. If anybody saw the comparison with Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone $19 basket of groceries, today it's $100. So, yeah, you walk in a grocery store and you used to could fill a grocery basket and get out less than $100. Now, a half a basket's $100, a full basket's 200. Yeah, Mike has told that story before, and you're right, Sir Brass. That was funny as hell. And I don't remember it well enough to try to retell it. Yeah, 37 to 40, Richard. That's where I think it is. Some people say it's lower, some people say it's in that range to higher. And We don't charge for air yet. Yeah. Yeah, a whole lot of rice is grown in Texas. A lot of people don't realize that. Speaking of Texas and rice, or lack thereof, there's an interesting lawsuit going forward down south from a rancher who is suing the state of Texas for basically drowning his ranch. And this is over the construction of I 10 with the miles of barriers and raising I 10 1.5 to 2 feet and then putting a 3 foot retaining wall up. Has basically flooded this rancher out twice since that was done with the last two hurricanes. Prior to that, his family had been there since the 1890s, farming that land and ranching that land. They'd never been flooded. And they lost about a third of their herd of cattle. All of their facilities flooded. And they had to get about $250,000 loan to just try to get everything back in shape. And then it flooded again. So they're now suing the state of Texas. Yeah, James, that's a good point. The 5.2% is base pay only, no BAH, which is basic allowance for housing or basic allowance for quarters. So a staff sergeant with 16 years makes the equivalent of about 26 an hour. Yeah. Yeah, return to DC swampland and grow rice there. There's so much corruption up there, I don't think the rice would grow. Yeah, it's Rick, I agree with you. I think it's pretty cut and dried. The problem is when they did it, they put no drainage in. And that is not right. BAH changes with location, and that's one of the issues. There's oh hell, don't give me the line. Uh, there's an other offset that they've come up with, which is a basic income something or other. I was reading it yesterday about what it takes to offset the cost of living in certain areas over and above the housing or quarters allowance. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. The Republicans were talking about adding enough to the base pay to get the enlisteds, especially the junior enlisteds, to a minimum of $15 an hour. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. And yeah, I'll take care of something right quick here. So basically, what you're looking at is, uh, it's going to cost significant dollars, whatever they do to get people where they need to be. So what you've got to do is you got to figure out exactly how much it's going to cost, plus how much it's going to take to get all these junior enlisted, wherever they are in the world, up to speed. Right now, that's what nobody knows. My daughter's trying to buy a computer, so she's asking for advice. So I'm trying to help her here. And Sorry, folks. Okay, that takes care of that. Sorry. She's trying to figure out whether to buy a semi gaming computer or a desktop or laptop for the kids because they're getting to the point that they want to do that. And she's starting to do some stuff to help Jace with his go karting effort, which means she needs to be able to do some things on the computer with Photoshop or Adobe and do some videos. Hey, let's see. Okay, so what did I miss? Yeah, my eyes aren't working worth a crap today again. Okay. Yeah, cola. Well, James, James, I'm an old fart, so I can remember when cola in California up in the Bay Area wasn't even enough then. And I had two E6s that worked for me in the lab that both had kids, buried with kids, and they shared a house down in Milpitas just to be able to make ends meet. And they were E6s, and they were both drawing food stamps in California in the late 1980s because they qualified for them. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is that, and I got a thumbs up, so she's probably going to go with a gaming type computer just for that reason to get a little bit more graphics power. Woo, precision safety glasses or prescription safety glasses are a good thing on Winkle Red. Yeah. Uh, it's nice to be able to see through the sunglasses and actually see what you're doing, especially when you're working with towers. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Ben. Everybody's out doing other things, and Ian's sick today, so it's just me. So we'll see how long it lasts. Yeah, BAH didn't come up until the early '90s. Yeah, yeah. A lot of folks were uh, worried about their survival back in the late '80s, '70s, and '80s. I can remember that well. And most of us that weren't married, if we lived off base, had a roommate, and hopefully the roommate was either in a different outfit or not military, so that if we went on deployment, we didn't lose the apartment and have everything in it stolen, which happened to friends of mine. Yeah, and Cedar says, yeah, they were on food stamps while he was in the Air Force. That's not untypical. Actually, I don't know, Dan. That's a good question. Um, I do know you can't buy uh, steamed crabs on food stamps because saw that happen up in Lexington, Maryland. Well, we went to lunch one day because this guy just outside the base at Pax River is notorious for the quality of his steamed crabs. And we had gone down to get some steamed crabs since it was that time of year and we could go sit down by the water and eat them. And this woman came in and tried to order 5 pounds of steamed crabs and pay for them with EBT. And the guy told her, he said, you know, you can't do that. If you want the 5 pounds of steamed crabs, you got to pay me in cash. And she was going, well, I don't have, and you're supposed to be able to feed me. And he's going, ma'am, you cannot order steamed crabs, prepared food on EBT. Well, I'm going to have to go put a meal. And she went on and on for about 10 minutes. And he finally went in the back and turned out called law enforcement. And they came and took her out again, apparently. And he came back out and said, shaking his head, and goes, she does that every other month. Yeah. So, no, you can't buy them on that. Rotisserie chickens aren't edible either. If they're hot. Yeah. Because they're considered a prepared food. Yep. And Julia, you're exactly right. It's always a prepared food issue, which to me was always kind of funny because most of what you can buy, cookies, candy, stuff like that, is all prepared foods, but it's cold. In other words, you've got to do something with it. Well, that's not right. Unprepared foods, you have to do something to them to prepare them to eat. I think that was the difference. Yeah. The bacon on pizzas, I don't know. Maybe they do. Oh, Carlton, yeah. I've heard of that happening too. Storage facilities where somebody missed a payment and they would even if they were deployed, they'd sell the stuff. Yeah. Sorry, David. I'm trying to remember things and read the chat and talk at the same time. And I can't do all three at once, obviously. Padre, I'm glad you could do that. I sure as hell couldn't. When I went in the service in 70, and I went to Memphis for my A school, I was one of 4 people in a company of 75 people that had a vehicle. And one of them was the chief in charge. There were 3 of us out of 75 that had vehicles. Back in the 70s, early 70s, there was never a problem parking on base because nobody had cars. It differs. Say it ain't so. Antisocial? You? Really? Yeah, Richard, commodity issues. You know, we used to have that, at least when I was a kid. It was called the government cheese and the government peanut butter and some other things. Hey, I like the government cheese. I mean, I know I'm a little odd, but damn. Yeah, I was at Millington in 1970, and then again in 1973. So I was there twice. Yeah, Rick, Bank of Hawaii. There was a reason that none of us that were in aviation went to Bank of Hawaii. We all went somewhere else, preferably off island. Government baloney, yep. Although my dad did not like bologna. I remember that even as a little kid. Uh, he had apparently eaten enough bologna when he was putting in pipelines that he never wanted to see a piece of bologna again after that. Uh, yeah, Ag, the rubber chicken is still floating around here. Honking on a rotisserie for April Fools. That would work. Oh, you were at Memphis in 71, Dave? Or Doug? Yeah, we might have. No, we wouldn't have crossed paths because my schools weren't that long. No, Richard, it was actually, it was about the same size as a government cheese block. Bologna about that long, standard 3 inch, 3.5 inch roll. Tiffany, Tiffany, Tiffany. Yeah, Rat Center Mucus, as we used to call Rat Center Memphis. Uh, Louisville delicacy. Okay, Tom, I will not go there with you. No, it's tuvula. It's actually sliced. It slices more like American cheese. Uh, it was pretty good. Like I said, I grew up eating it, so I never complain about it. Cheese and crackers was my, I guess, my go-to munchie when I was a kid. Yeah, standard American Wisconsin cheese. Uh, God, that was a long time ago. That was 60 plus years ago, 60 years ago. Yeah, I'm an old fart. Oh, well. I'm still looking down at the daisies, not up at them, so I'll take that for a win. Yeah, cross between American and mild cheddar. Yeah, I would say that's about right. Yeah, yeah, Jesse. The peanut butter, all government peanut butter's always been the same. You had to stir it to get the oil to remix into it. But you could also use that peanut oil to make a nice little lantern if you needed it. Fried bologna and American cheese melted on top. No, I was not aware of that, Jerry. Thanks. Still handing that out at the food bank for senior boxes. Yeah, it's double swamped on the days that USAA and Navy Fed direct deposited pay. Yeah, that was one of the things that I noted when we started getting the Burger Kings, McDonald's, and whatever else on base. Was you did see a huge drop off in the people going to the chow hall. The kids going to the chow hall were the ones that were flat ass broke. Uh, and then yeah, you the advantage, at least to me, being a Navy guy, with the in an aviator with the McDonald's or whatever we had on base, Burger King, was you could get food any time of the day pretty much. Whereas with the chow halls, it was you either had breakfast, lunch, or supper. And if you needed mid rats, you got a box lunch. So pay your money, take your chances. And when you're an aviator, you get stuck with odd schedules. You never know when you're mid rats for the win. Yeah, you never knew when you were flying, so you either cut into your sleep time to get up and go get something to eat, or you just starved until you got on the airplane and ate whatever was in the box lunch as soon as you took off. But you could also, and we had chow boxes back in the old days. If you had a good cook on the crew, you made your own lunch or supper or whatever. And everybody on the crew kicked in money for it because the TV dinners that the military provided were, shall we just say, not good. Yeah. Yeah. RK, that's saying something when the general would eat there. Of course, I also remember, I want to say it was, Moffett Field where the admiral or the staff had to eat in the chow hall 4 or 5 meals a week to make sure that the quality of the food stayed up. Yeah. Oh yeah, Mona Lisa. Well, that's a lot of what we had, except when we got the meat in our sandwiches, it was mystery meat because it was gray, and you had no idea what it really tasted like because it didn't have a taste per se. Yeah, they beat starving, but barely. Yes. Yeah. Uh, good friend of mine, his wife is a retired E8, and her last job was cooking for the CNO, but she was also a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. And that's one of the things that the Navy, at least, has started doing. I don't know about the other services, was that they would start sending the really good cooks from the fleet to the CIA to get them better training. And the other guy that was a deputy with me was very proud of the fact that he had gotten two of his culinary specialists off the submarine, sent to the CIA, and one of them came back to the boat. And he said the quality of the food definitely went up, which, if you're a submariner, you're eating pretty good the first week and a half, 2 weeks underway. And then, as he said, it just continues to go down for the rest of the underway period. And they actually eat their way down to the floor or the deck. Yeah, I have in my library at home, I have a 1941 Navy cookbook from World War II. And the smallest portions are for 50. And they're scalable up, but they're not scalable down. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Tom, now that you mentioned, I remember my cousins who were both buff guys talking about the gunner dogs. Uh, yeah, I've actually tried to cut some of the recipes down for my Saturday dinners. Although we've got one coming up that's going to be interesting because we've got a lot of people coming in town right before Christmas. So, and I'm cooking, and then we're doing Christmas on Christmas. So, the house is going to be full in a couple of weeks, but it'll be fun. And I appreciate the fact that people bring stuff. Uh, oh, cream the corn they'd grown. Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing that one, but yeah. RK, yeah, I know there are apps that can scale recipes, but the problem is scaling a recipe never gets the seasoning right. So you're always playing a guessing game on, am I adding too much seasoning, not enough seasoning? Uh, yeah. Yeah, shit on a single is still good. I've actually made shit on a shingle except on biscuits. Hmm. Nah, I couldn't do that to people. I was going to say I'm cooking on the 23rd. I'll be tempted to do SOS again. But I do it on biscuits because I've got so many people. And I do it Navy style. So your nose determines the seasoning amounts. So if your nose starts running, it's seasoned enough, huh? Yeah, John, that's an interesting point. If they can't do breakfast right, they're probably not going to do anything else right. It's even more interesting when you're overseas. Uh, SOS French fried using sausage gravy. I've actually done it with a mix of sausage and hamburger, and it works either way. Uh, yeah, SOS will make your primary care and your cardiologist cringe. No question. Yeah, 1/4 ounce of pepper in 100 servings of cream dried beef. Yeah, because the dried beef was so friggin' salty that unless you brined it 2 or 3 times to try to get the salt out, all you tasted was salt. I've had the army version, and quite honestly, I can't stand it with the dried beef. Yeah, Tom, I got to ask, when were you in Masira? Yeah, the captain eats the same chow on a boat as everybody else, at least on submarines. Yes, Threading the Needle is definitely an interesting book. It was well done, but you left a lot of questions hanging out there. December 2001. Yeah, I was there 10 years prior to that. There was no mess hall. Matter of fact, the base had been shut down in the 80s. Uh, yeah, SOS is I don't know, I guess a regional thing too. It's Southern, so a lot of people do it with sausage. Some people do it military style with hamburger. Some of us mix it. Some people do it with a cream chip beef. Biscuits and gravy versus toast and gravy. Yeah, you can go on and on and on that one. And I'm not going to say who's right or who's wrong. No, Sir Brass, it does not. Tastes like crap. Use hamburger. Tastes better. Matter of fact, use hamburger 3 to 1 to sausage. It tastes even better. uh, Rick, are you saying we don't have any taste buds if we're from South Louisiana? Oh yeah, 15-hour sortie, 1 box lunch. Yep, I know that feeling well. Yeah, Tom, you know how to stay out of trouble most of the time. Well, F.E. Warren wasn't an air base, so you didn't have a problem, differ. Corned beef, corned hash, yeah. You can have it, Sir Brass. That leaves more of the good stuff for the rest of us. Corned beef, yeah, hash and mixed with eggs, yes. Oh, oh, me. How did we get on food? No, I'm not going to ask. Never mind. Not sure I want to know. Oh, the other thing that I did want to mention, if I can find it again. Here we go. Oh, apparently the Discord server leak of TSSCI information that airman did up in New Jersey has finally been acted on by the guard, and they are maintaining that he acted alone in 4 separate instances where he took TSSCI data and put it up on a Discord server after he smuggled it out of these spaces. However, they have investigated 15 of his superiors and coworkers. And gee, what a surprise. They didn't really find that they had done anything wrong. So what they're doing is they're not really penalizing any of the other people other than quote unquote, where is it? Including two colonels. Were compliant but lacking. They had not completed their IO training, and supervisors were not consistent with reporting violations. So, what they've done is the entire 102nd Intelligence Surveillance Reconnaissance Group is no longer handling any sensitive information. Basically, what they did is they slapped 15 people on the wrist, said, go forth, don't fuck up again, and we'll just make this go away. Friggin' ridiculous. Friggin' ridiculous. But what can you do? Well, apparently, Tom, MI units lose cert is a bad day. If you're an Air Force security group, not so much. Slap on the hand and go somewhere else. Lack of attention to detail. Yep. Well, the one guy. Yeah, they got the one guy. So we shall see what happens with that. No generals were harmed during the investigation. Yeah, Matt, you're pretty much correct on that one. Amazing how that shit happens. But then again, it's the Air Force. Why did he leak it, Sir Brass? Because he was apparently trying to show off to a group of teenagers in a gaming group. Yes. Before you go, huh? Yes, he was trying to show off to a bunch of teenage gamers in a gaming group. Yeah, ego. Yeah. Sometimes you just about got to laugh at some of this stuff. Yeah. Oh. No, he didn't get any money. Yeah, we had an E5 that left a classified checklist in his briefcase, which was locked up in his locker in the hangar. However, he had left his alarm clock in said briefcase, which was clicking and ticking. And when they blew his briefcase up that night and classified formulas went everywhere, he went from E5 to E1 the next day. Even though it was secured in a secure facility, because he had not put it back in the safe where it belonged, he went from E1 to E5 to E1. Yeah, RK, I would tend to agree. It's all about ego now, because the internet basically is anonymous. You can, yeah. I was not aware of that, Rick. World of Tanks got some too. Yeah. Yeah. Buff Crew left a comm kit on a bird. Yeah, that's going to get the whole crew shot. Well, parenthetically. No, it's not, Sean. That's a good point. But You know, a lot of these basement commandos think they're anonymous, and they will do anything they can to pump themselves up. And I really don't understand that. Never lost a nuke? No, but you misplaced one or two of them. Uh, Nothing is anonymous anymore. The Yeah, you can put together, having dealt in the R&D world, you can put together some pretty specific information out of unclassified sources, no question. Especially if you know the basics. No comment differ. Uh, War is just a hobby, right? The problem is that if you know basics about something, either the science behind it or the functionalities or what the potential targeting is, you can put together a lot of information out of unclassified documents and sources. And yes, the equipment manuals sometimes are a large part of that. Yeah, Clancy did that. Yeah. Clancy also had some inside information, I'm firmly convinced. Yeah, Tom, they did drop one on Spain and in North Carolina. Uh, SAC really didn't put themselves out of a job per se. Their job got overcome by events in that the Navy's capabilities were much better. Uh, yeah. Well, the spouses, yeah, that's another issue. Uh, yeah, there are. Rick, you and I need to have a beer sometime in a private space. There are a number of things that all the services do that tread into areas that are not precisely where they're supposed to be and precisely when they're supposed to be there. Point Barrow welcomes its newest security officer. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's a good point, David. The prop department, Dr. Strangelove, recreated a cockpit of a B 52 from one picture. Yes. It's not hard to do when there's enough stuff out there. There are, yeah, Fitbits. Yeah. Here is where the base is located. Here's the actual perimeter of the base. Yeah. Yeah, Rick, we're old enough. We weren't there. It didn't happen. There are no pictures to prove anything. And damn sure no videos. But one of the problems, and I got this directly from an 06 commander, squadron commander for ships out in the Pacific, was that the worst problem they had was security and crew morale was the internet capability on the ships now. Because before, when we deployed, we were gone for 6 months. So the wife or husband, in whichever case, had to take care of everything while the significant other was gone. And you might get a letter a month, maybe more, depending. And it went back and forth. So if I got a letter first month of deployment, I didn't really see an answer to that until late the second month or possibly early third month of deployment. Now on board ship, anytime they have satellite connectivity, they pretty much have the internet up on the ship. So the spouse can bitch at the husband, or wife can bitch at the husband, whatever, while they're underway about a problem at home that the significant other can do absolutely nothing about underway. So now they're trying to do their job on the boat, get their sleep, and worry about what's going on at home, and figure out what to do next. So it's a lot of confusion. Yeah, every digital talk you walk into looked like the bridge of the Enterprise. Yeah, Rick, 70-day submerged debt, inbound family only for about 3 months. No paper trail at all. Paper mail, yeah. Yeah, Greg, that was something else that played into it back in the day. But what's happening today is these kids, not just kids, also the officers, uh, they get caught up in what's going on back home, and the ship's morale suffers, the ship's efficiency suffers, the capability to do their job suffers, because for some of them, all they've done is game before they came in the military. So now they're separated from their love of their life, which is their gaming. So they'll get on the computer on the boat and try to go in and game. And if you've ever been on a boat and tried to do connectivity from the boat, you know it sucks. I mean, it's going to be up and down like a friggin' ping pong ball. And they pretty much tell you limit your time on the computer to 5 minutes, maybe 10, depending on the boat, because there are a bunch of other people that want to get on and talk to their friends, their family. They need to bring back military censors. Yeah, that's a possibility. But what happens is they'll end up telling the significant other where the boat's going next, or telling them when they're going to be back in port. Well, all that goes out over satellite. So it is definitely hackable. It's definitely capturable, especially if you've got an AGI out there, because they're picking it out of the air. And now your security is compromised, because all military ship movements are classified up until the time that they are actually conducted. So even the fact that you're getting underway at 1600 on Friday technically is classified up until you're underway, at which point it's no longer classified. Yeah, lovely trail of electronic breadcrumbs. Yes. Yes. Possum flavored candy. No, just friggin' no, David. Do not do that to us, please. Oh, it's always taken one person with loose lips. Yeah. Yeah, Tom, we're not going to talk about what was hidden in some of the old computers back in the day. Not that we ever played with any of those games. Nope. No voice or video comms while underway. I've seen both. Yeah. Have a good one, Richard. Germans, yeah, Rick, that's a good point. Germans said all radio broadcasts are treason, which is pretty much true. And the perfume princes want to stage manage from a distance. Yeah. That's why in the first Gulf War, the Predator video was called a general's video, because they were the only ones that got to see it. They got to see it first before it actually went to the people that needed it. And usually it didn't get to the people that needed it until it was too late, because it had to be filtered for security. Makes a lot of friggin' sense, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, Tom, yeah. Ferreting out porn sites on government computers. Yep. That's like the universities. Same thing there. We actually did a honeypot at University of South Carolina, both for the Chinese and for the porn sites. And it was amazing how many were found. And also you could watch the time of night because it was day in China, and you could tell which grade of hackers you were getting because they were 1 hour blocks and they came increasingly more effective coming into the honeypot that they were hacking. The specialist came with the German magazines. Yeah. Yeah, Sir Brass, that's been the history of secrets since day one. If more than two people know a thing, it's not secret. The only real secret's if only one person still knows it. RK, without getting into details, probably 50%. Oh, yeah, porn on secure networks was not unusual. Oh. Oh yeah, there've always been some dependencies there, Greg. I'll just leave it at that. Video blinked. Well, sorry, it's good on my end. I guess Frank finally woke up and went, "Oh, what are they talking about now?" Anyway, uh, been an interesting discussion today. I thank y'all for sticking with me. And I apologize for having to take care of family stuff in the middle of it. But the thing, when it comes down to it, it's all about the quality of leadership. And that's the one thing that concerns me today is that we don't have any real, what I consider real leadership in the higher ranks. They're all politicians. Oh, I miss the days when, and I'm not saying this jokingly, I miss the days when an E7 could take you out behind the line shack and beat the shit out of you. And it never went anywhere other than between you and the chief. When leadership started at the deck plates. And what didn't get handled at the deck plates got handled at the lieutenant level. There was a lot of things that never made it to the CO or XO because, quite honestly, they didn't need to know. They had other things on their mind. But these were people that were war fighters. And their biggest concern was, did they have an airplane up and a pilot up or a mission crew up ready to go in and possibly die? That was their concern, not admin. Yeah. Now the E7 will be brought up on charges. Yeah. Yep. Zero tolerance. That's where we are today. And yeah, for what it's worth, zero tolerance. Anyway, folks, I've wasted an hour of your time. I definitely appreciate the chat today. Zero tolerance, zero brains. Yeah. That was always our standing joke was in the Navy, as long as it wasn't specifically prohibited, we were allowed to do it. In the Air Force, unless it was specifically written out, it was not approved. Sir Brass, that does not surprise me these days. Hopefully, he beat it at the court martial. Good. You know, we can do what we can do to lead by example ourselves. And, you know, we can do that in any number of ways. But I think the best way we can do it, unless otherwise directed, yes. I've seen that on a lot of orders. But the best thing you can do is lead by example. And for us old farts, that means loyalty, integrity, and honesty. We always end up getting too political, mainly because yeah, Tom's been there and done that. Unadir and then Nardo, yeah. If you're not in contact, they can't tell you to come back. Yeah. Anyway, folks, y'all be safe. Have a good week. I'll pass along your good wishes to Ian. And remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. I and whoever else will be around will see you on Thursday. Y'all take care. And again, be safe. Bye.